Have you ever come home from a trip that's been totally exhausting and you arrive through your front door? It's like, I'm home. It's like you just melt for that one moment, for that one time before your brain kicks in. Everything's just quiet. I've been playing with the concept of 100 freedom breaths with the very purpose of returning home consciously every day. That's it. How do you do this? Easily. You breathe. For me, it's 100 times. Perhaps you might like to play with this yourself. The idea of breathing consciously and purposefully 100 times. Breathing in and breathing out and staying with your breath the entire time. That's all there is to it. No complexity. Just the simple breath. The simple returning home to who you really are.
And one way to do it is to breathe literally in sync with your heart. So you can, in fact, an easy way to do that, you can just slow down your breath. You can do that now, breathing slowly. At the end of each in-breath, you create a pause. You breathe out. At the end of your breath, you create a pause, and you do that, just creating pause at the end of each in-breath, at the end of each out-breath, and just that start to create coherence. And if we add a biofeedback system, we'll see that the heart rate literally creates nice waves, like that. It's the coherent state. If we are in incoherence, means in plain English, in state of stress, the heart rate is all around the place and we don't feel so good. So it's very simple, it's very easy also to objectively measure it with modern instrumentation like biofeedback.
You know, sometimes we can find ourselves in a high stress environment, and when we're under stress, our breathing pattern becomes short and erratic. Our body produces cortisol, and prolonged lengths of cortisol in conjunction with adrenaline puts pressure on our heart and causes our heart to work harder and beat faster. So it's in these moments that conscious awareness is really important, because within the awareness we can use our mind to focus on our breath and slow down our breath. Now when we slow down our breathing and breathe deeply into our body, heart rate variability shows us that it also slows down our heart rhythm. Now, I personally don't believe that there's any right or wrong way to breathe, just breathe. You know, they say that we can go without food for about a month, we can go without water for 3 to 4 days before dehydration sets in, but when it comes to the breath, we're talking about 8 to 10 minutes before death starts knocking at the door. So breathe, get to know your breath. Find out what happens if you breathe, short into your body, or breathe deeply into your body. Find out what supports you the best in different contexts. Now, we can play with our breath. We can do things like breathe a breath of gratitude and appreciation. We can breathe a smile into our body, breathe a smile into our heart, our cells, our organs, breathe a smile into wherever our body calls for it. We can do things like breathe into the lower part of our spine, so breathing in deeply and elongating the body. If we want to get out of our internal chatter, get into that space in between our thoughts, then we can focus our attention on our breath and just breathe slowly without any kind of judgment, but just breathing and focusing on our breath. So before we get in the car in the morning, before we go out the door, stop, have a conscious breath. If you're in the elevator or on an escalator, just stop, have a conscious breath. Now, one of the things that I love to do, and you can do this as well, is just notice the space that you exist in. Notice how far out it goes in front, to the sides and behind. And then I'd like to invite you, if you'd be willing, to breathe into that space. And on the out-breath, expand out. Breathing in again, and on the out-breath, expanding out even further. And now notice, what space do you occupy in the front, to the sides and behind. Breathing in again, and breathing out even further, like right out into the universe. Sometimes we have this perception that we occupy such a small space, but in fact we have the ability to expand right out and not just be in the space, but to be the space, because we are. I remember hearing once somebody say that breath is God. If God is manifested in anything, then God is manifested in the breath. And I quite like that, because if you think about it, it's like just one big breath, one big recycled breath. Breath is movement, life is movement, so get to know your breath, play with it, have fun with it, and see what happens.
If you take a deep breath and just hold it, you'll become more aware of your heart beating. And it will beat a little bit more. And obviously I don't want you to hold your breath for too long because your body will tense. So let that go. Take another deep breath and be aware again of your heart beating. While you're doing that, you might become even aware of the vibration of your body. Imagine if you're a mother. This is my version of intuition. You just know you're in one part of the house, something occurs, something changes, and you go, uh-oh, it's time to go and check those children. The children are down in the other part of the house. They're doing something that maybe they know isn't the best thing to be doing. So their vibration has changed. Their heart vibration going out has altered because they're up to mischief. Mum goes down to the other part of the house, looks in, and the kids look at her with one of those, yes, you're right, one of those cheeky, mischievous looks. So she has felt that vibration from where she was in the house. The vibrating heart goes out. Other energies around you come in, and you interpret them. But what is happening first? I believe that the heart vibration goes out, the energy comes in and meets that. It's after that that the brain goes, what is that? What's that vibration? Your brain then goes, is that happiness? Is that joyfulness? Or is it anger? Or is it fear? And your brain interprets that, but your heart has received it first. Your heart is the centre of your being, and it's what's vibrating out. And it's what's receiving the vibrations of all other things in.